you can't keep doing what you're doing.
You remember when we were kids, we worked.
You know, a lot of times people will steal your vision.
We've got to take a hard look at this.
As long as you're moving ahead in a positive direction, you're going to reach your end goal. Hello, I'm Pastor Rod Spratley, and this is my lovely wife, Pastor Jennifer Spratley, and we're excited about being back with you again to bring you another show of success talk and to get into some things and some ways to be able to help you to be successful in every area of your life.
The last time we were together, we talked about, you know, of course every show we're talking about success and how to be successful, but last time we talked about multiple streams of income.
Yeah, we did.
And we recognize that it's important for us to have more than one stream of income. So we talked about starting businesses and not being afraid to step out on the thing that's been on your heart for a long time, the thing that you've been wanting to do.
That's right.
To start that small business, to then start the new stream of income that can come in to your household to help you reach your wealthy place. And so we kicked out a couple things there about how people can be fearful and be paralyzed by fear, which will hinder them from moving forward.
Yeah.
And we know God has not given us a spirit of fear,
oh no,
but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
That's right.
And we also know that there were many, many business men and women in the scriptures.
Yeah, and I think we talked about last time too, we talked a little bit about the depression of the 30s, and we talked about the fact that a lot of times businesses start and the best opportunities are when things are down. So, you know, a lot of cases you see things going on in the economy and you feel like that means, oh, doom and gloom. I'm never going to be able to do this now. You know, I had an idea for a specific thing and now it's not going to happen because of what's going on in the world. But truthfully, if you think back, I think we mentioned Colonel Sanders, Kentucky Fried Chicken, started in the Great Depression. Started when the economy was absolutely at the worst.
So then we should look at this as a time of opportunity.
It absolutely is a time of opportunity.
And not look at it as being a time of depression or a time that's devastating. Of course, we know what's going on, but we need to take a different look at that and have a paradigm shift.
That's right.
And say, you know what, this is a great time for me to start the business that I've always wanted to start.
You know, I talk about sometimes, I think, you know, you have to be careful for things that try to steal your dream and steal your vision and steal passion from you. Because let's face it, if you could go out and tell a whole lot of people about a great idea that you have, and the fact of the matter is, they could all speak negatively about it. It doesn't mean it's not a great idea.
That's true.
So we got to be mindful that and protect the vision sometimes. You know, when you got something in you that you want to do, you've got to be persistent. You know, you got to push forward. You got to, you know, of course, seek God. I mean, it's important to know that you have an idea that is a good idea.
Right.
You know, and that if it is a vision and a thing that you have passion for, that you stick with that and that you make sure that you absolutely don't allow anybody or anything to rob you of your vision and your goal to be able to achieve something and be successful. And they start doubting themselves before they even get started.
Right.
So, but I like the scripture that says we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us.
We can do all things through
And so we know that we can do these things. Sometimes we know it burns on the inside of us, and we just have to be passionate about keeping the passion and keeping to it.
Not be fearful.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Step out and give it a start.
So we gave some pointers last time also about things that people can do, and we like to do that on every show. We want to give you some pointers, the things that will help you. One of the things that we're dealing with right now, because it just happens to be the times that we're in, it seems to be that a lot of people are struggling financially.
Right.
They're really having tough times. So what we try to do is, out of our own experience, and we're going to talk a little bit out of our book today of some of the stuff that we talk about in here, we like to go and we like to give you some information and some history and some different nuggets that a lot of times people just didn't know, and it helps you to understand maybe why things are the way they are.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we absolutely know, and we talked about this on the last show, and we cannot say this enough. We have got to get out of debt. That is
paramount.
first and
top on the list.
even before starting the business, I would highly recommend that you get out of debt. Okay, because if you have debt and you're trying to start something new, the debt's going to keep pulling you down.
Absolutely.
So you've got to get out of debt. We talked about that on the last show, and one of the ways you can do that is to stop wasting. We talked about that on the last show as well.
Got to stop wasting.
Stop wasting. Cut back in every area that you possibly can. You know, we said to look over your life, really, and more specifically, look over your bills and lay them all out on the table.
Right.
And eliminate the ones that you really don't need. Cut back on the ones that you need, like you have to eat. We know you have to eat, but let's cut back on the food bill to the bare necessities. Let's not waste. We talked about not throwing away. I don't even know if we got to this point.
I think we talked about that. I think you talked about leftovers and things like that. And the reason why we get back into this, because it's going to be, this is like the foundation of everything we're trying to do to help people to really see this success. You know, we happen to be business owners, and we love what we can do in this country in reference to business and starting a business and becoming successful, and basically sky is the limits. So this is a great country that we live in, and we got great opportunity, but some of the foundational things that so often people don't do is the very thing that keeps them from being successful in business.
And money is one of them.
And if we're not wise stewards, if we don't do things and take care of the little, how could you expect that you were going to be able to handle anything big? If you can't balance your checkbook when you've got $300, how are you going to handle $3 million? Okay? If you got to go to the bank and ask, what's my balance? And you don't know how much is in there when you got the small quantity. Again, it's just, so it's basic stewardship. And if we learn how to be good stewards, very easily you'll be able to see yourself start to expand. Okay? I wanted to get into and ask you a question about, because you did a lot of research and study when we were writing this book. You did some research about credit cards, and we did a lot of research about the history of money. We all the way back biblical. We went into some of the scriptures about the earliest conversation or topics in the Bible about money. But we can't go through all those. But one that has absolutely been just devastating to, I would say, middle class, lower middle class part of our society has been credit cards.
Wow.
Okay, and the credit card thing has just been, and we got experience with that. So, but tell a little bit about what happened when you were studying some of the stuff that we found out about the origin even of credit cards.
You want to talk about the origin of money or the origin of credit cards?
Well, let's do. We probably won't have the time to do both on this show. So let's do credit cards. We'll talk about money on another one.
Okay, all right. Well, credit cards, that's chapter 6 of the book. It's a really awesome chapter.
It's a good chapter.
And it's a chapter we call the plastic trap, because it is a trap. Credit cards are a trap. And I remember when we were growing up, we didn't have credit cards.
No.
My parents didn't have credit cards.
Now, you might be dating us a little bit. I mean, we're actually pretty young, so if we're not that old.
Our parents, no, they had them. Our parents really didn't have credit cards. And so they really weren't used a lot in our country until it happened in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, actually, really. It happened about 50 years ago. And again, I said they actually raised the ceiling that was allowed to stop Sioux Falls from lending money. So they weren't able to lend. There was a certain interest rate that you could lend for used cars and a certain interest rate that you could use for new cars. And so it was very high, and there wasn't a lot of money actually being circulated. And so that limit was actually raised in that state. And so a lot of the banks then moved to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And they were able to raise their interest rates to 20%. There was no limit.
No cap on it.
And it just opened up Pandora's box.
And in most other states, I think the thing was, it was kind of like a usury law or thing where they didn't want you to be able to raise it so much, because at some point you would be kind of taking advantage of people if you gave them credit but then charged them 30% interest. So when those laws came about, basically what you're saying that happened then was in Sioux Falls happened to be the one place in the one state that was friendly to the banks and to the credit card industry, that would allow them to be able to continue to raise their interest rates as high as they wanted to raise them. Right.
And that's where it was born. That's when credit cards started to come from everywhere. And at the same time, there was the Marquis Law that said that you could go from state to state. Like if a bank was I want to say stationed but chartered in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and their interest rate was 20%, they could then charge the same 20% in Virginia, even if Virginia's
right, because that's where their
cap was
headquarters
12%.
were. Because
Right, exactly.
their headquarters was in Sioux Falls. So not to go into and get too deep with it, but so the bottom line is that's why it shows that way on your credit card statement, and that's why they're successful at getting away with, hey, and this has probably happened to many of the viewers. You get your statement, well, you got an introductory rate of 2.1%.
Wow.
And you're so excited, and you switch your balance over, and then you get there, but you didn't read the fine print, and you happen to be 1 day late. Your payment was due on the 1st, you paid it on the 2nd. You may have even mailed it on the 29th.
And then your next
interest rate payment is all of a sudden is 21%.
Exactly.
Okay?
It's a trap.
Yeah.
It's a trap, and there's really no cap on how high they can raise it, and so
Wow.
you never pay it off unless you won't pay it off if you do your monthly payments.
Right.
But you would never pay it off if you just paid the minimum payment that was due every month.
Wow. Part of this is, and that's also tied into with this whole interest thing, that's where the rule of 72 comes in, right? And not understanding that so many people get credit cards and they're excited about the fact that they got the low interest, and they also even more excited about the fact that they say your payment's only $30 a month. Now, you got $9,000 on your credit card.
Don't fall for it.
And they're telling you your payment is $30 a month.
Exactly.
So if you figure it out, then you're never going to be able to pay off your balance at paying that minimum amount. And that's what they want you to do, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so now the rule of 72.
Well, the rule of 72 is a method that's used to estimate the amount of time that it'll take to double either your investment or your debt.
Right.
So there's a formula for it. So you take your interest rate and you divide it into 72.
Right.
And it'll tell you how long it will take for that balance to double.
To double, that's right. Okay.
So, it's math. So most people don't like to know the math, do the math, but the bottom line to it is you will never pay your credit card off if you're just paying your minimum payment every month.
And the credit card companies don't want you to pay it off,
no, they
right?
don't want you. Of course not. That's their
because that keeps you in debt, right?
We can show people how they can pay this off.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. We're going to talk about part of a chapter that I wrote in the book called The Dead Avalanche. And what we were talking about was on the first shows, how to find this money right in what you have in your hands, what you have in your house, how to find money, additional cash, and then so you can start attacking credit cards, attacking other debt that you may have, a car payment, things like that, to get this stuff paid off. You know something I've never really understood? Why is it that two things, a loan for clothes, especially shoes, and a loan for furniture. Now, this is a TV program, so if we're talking people that have it, you never know because nobody's going to know, not in the house with you, but you put shoes on credit. Let's say a $300 pair of shoes.
Right.
You wear them, and I've seen this happen even with you.
You said a $300 pair of shoes?
Let's just say, okay, I'm using that. Oh, there's some shoes that cost $1,500, okay? So anyway, we say you get those shoes, you charge them on your credit card.
Right.
You could wear them 6-7 times over 3 or 4 months. They could, in that small amount of time, get scuffed, the heels messed up, they're no good, and you're still making payments with the minimum payment.
Right.
You'll be paying on them for another.
So by the time you get finished paying your shoes off,
Yeah.
You've paid $450 for your shoes, and if I buy the same pair of shoes for $300, which I wouldn't pay $300 for a pair of shoes, but if I buy the same pair of shoes and I pay cash for them, then I'm paying $300 for my shoes. Now, I may have had to wait a little longer, be a little more patient, save up my money, and not charge it. But my shoes cost $300 and yours cost $450.
So you just mentioned something that would mean we'd have to exercise some patience in reference to when we want things. So part of the first thing we say to you is this: if you're trying to get out of a bad situation that you found yourself in financially, you're going to have to exercise some patience. We don't have a formula that we would be able to give to people that would get them out in a week or something like that. You didn't get in a week. Okay, you got in and it took you some time to get in. It's going to take you a little bit of time to get out. But if you're diligent, the thing is, this thing accelerates. And since it accelerates, okay, you would find that even though it took you a while to get in, you could actually find yourself getting out fairly quick.
Right, but it is going to take time.
Yeah, it is.
And you do have to stop spending. And you have to, first of all, you have to make up your mind that I want to come out of this situation. And once your mind is made up, then you have to say, this is going to take me a little time and I have to exercise some patience. But I am coming out of this bondage, because that's what debt is.
You know, it's probably not one of the subjects, people's favorite subjects when you start talking about debt and getting out of debt. But the thing is, once you're free from it, oh my God, does it feel so good?
It feels
When you don't have, you don't have a in your mailbox every month, you don't get these 7, 8, 9 envelopes of things that you owe.
3 credit
Oh
card
my
bills,
goodness,
car
you know.
payment, you know, some of us have furniture bills.
It's bondage.
It's bondage.
It's bondage. So what we're saying, and really one of the parts of us trying to be able to get into success, because we got a lot of things we want to talk about on these shows. We're going to talk about business, how to start a business, internet businesses. There's a lot of things that we can talk about. There's a lot of ways to make money. Okay, and people would be amazed, I think, as we start to go into later shows and we talk about some of these things, how easy it is in this country to start a business, to be profitable in a very short period of time, and to just see extreme success.
Right.
I mean, it happens every day.
But you've got to get the foundation right.
You do.
You cannot move forward because too often we grab the ball and we run with it and we drop it because we don't have our foundation firm. And we've got to understand how money works. We got to understand the value
Right.
of money.
That's right.
We have to understand how to use money and how, you know, some of us are in a position where money actually dictates our life. It tells
Yeah, it
us when
does.
to get up in the morning. It tells us when to go to bed at night. It tells us where we can go, where we can't go,
Right.
how long we can go there. And, you know, it just rules our life. And that is not God's best for us.
No, it absolutely
We
isn't.
should be in control of the money.
Well,
we should be using the money.
It comes back to stewardship, okay? And when we learn how to be good stewards, when we learn how to take care of, say, a small amount, somebody says, well, you know, I only make $20,000 a year.
Doesn't matter.
But if you make $20,000 a year and you're a wise steward over your 20,000, you could be and live as well as somebody that made 100,000.
Absolutely.
And there's people right now in this country that do, all over the world, that make very small amount of monies and live very well.
And you have to learn how to live below your means.
Right,
If
that's
you're
right.
making 20, don't live at 25.
Yeah, or 50.
And that's the thing that credit cards do.
Right, it does.
Credit cards allow you to live temporarily above your means.
Right.
Because you're like charging it. You're borrowing.
Right, right.
You know, your livelihood, your
So
lifestyle.
I've heard this said once, and then I'm gonna get into before this show ends today. I want to get into a little bit about the Dead Avalanche.
Okay.
But I heard someone say once they were talking to somebody about credit cards, and and they had quite a bit of debt. I didn't know them personally, but the individual applied for another card, so they already had cards, and they're shifting their payments from card to card to card to kind of keep things caught up.
Right.
So they got a new card, and it had a $5,000 balance.
Wow.
So when they got the card and opened it, they celebrated. Like, oh, I got $5,000. You got $5,000 worth of debt, which is probably actually $20,000 worth of debt because you're going to charge up to the 5 and you're never going to pay it off.
Exactly.
And so they got that, and immediately they think, let's go out, woo, let's go eat out.
Right.
Let's go, I can go shopping now.
Right.
And the thing is, that's false.
Right.
And that's kind of what's happened to so many, especially our young people.
When I was in college, and probably even when you were in college, I remember getting credit card applications.
Oh yeah, I did.
Didn't have a job.
Yep.
Didn't really understand, and we talk about this in the book too.
Right.
We didn't really understand even how credit cards work. We just knew that we could go and buy stuff.
Right.
And so I remember I got, I can't remember, I do remember which store it was, but I'm not going to mention it.
Yeah.
I got a credit card from a major department store, and I think it was like $250 or $300, and this was a long time ago.
Right.
I had no business with that.
Well, you didn't have a job.
I didn't have a job. They do
Yeah.
try to trap young people in early.
Get them
because
started.
The
Right.
studies have shown that
Right.
most people are loyal to their credit card company.
Absolutely.
You start with one particular credit card company, you're going to stay with them,
Yeah.
for years and years
Yeah.
and years. So they try to get the young people in while they're young.
Right.
To get them tied in
Right.
to
Right. Well,
be loyal to them.
Well, this is in the book again, and we don't want to just keep going, but we laid everything out in here, which is why we go to the book, because it's kind of easy, because this was part of our process for how you step out of it, and it's kind of how we got out of debt.
Right.
And I want to explain a little bit about what the debt avalanche is. It was really, once we learned and God really showed us how to come out of here and get out of this trouble that we got ourselves into,
Right.
we had to systematically kind of step by step go through
Right.
and come out of, and it wasn't by filing bankruptcy.
Right.
It wasn't by just packing up, changing our names, and moving to another state. We may have felt like that,
Yeah, we
but
did.
we didn't do that.
Right.
What it was we took the monies that we identified, stuff that we saved, phone bills, eating out, food, all those things, and we found $300, $400, $500 a month
Yeah.
out of our budget that we were just wasting money.
Right.
And then what we immediately did was took that money and we started to, first thing we did was we established an emergency fund.
Right.
Do you know, and I can't remember the exact statistics, so I won't say what the percentage is until I check that, but the percentage is so low of those in this country that actually have a savings account.
It's very low.
I can't. It was very. It wasn't.
Almost say
it wasn't in the teens.
It's like
it was a low percentage.
Like
but
1% of the population has a savings account.
We'll check that and tell you exactly what it was. But it was so low. People don't have savings. Right. They use things like, okay, they've got a credit card or something. That's for my emergency. Right. That's not an emergency fund. That's a credit.
Right, and a lot of people say that.
So
keep this credit card in case something happens.
So the first thing we do is you take some of that initial money that you saved and you stash yourself. And this is where discipline is going to start immediately. Mm-hmm. If you save $300, $400, $500, $600 a month, I recommend at least $500. Mm-hmm. Okay, you take that. You can keep it in cash if you want to somewhere, but keep it somewhere safe. Right. You're not going to go and buy pizza with it.
Right.
Put it in a place, and it's only if you have an emergency, because likely things happen in life.
Water heater's going to break.
You can have something if you don't own a house or you rent. Your car could need tires, anything. Mm-hmm. But that money can't come out of your budget.
Right.
So the first thing I suggest is take a little bit, and then you can eliminate that whole, oh my goodness, something happened, I don't have any money, I got to charge.
So you're telling me that my first step then, if I'm in debt, my first step then is to establish an emergency fund.
Yeah, and doesn't that sound ironic? It's like I don't have any money. You're asking me to save something.
So somebody would say to you, you're telling me to set aside $500, I don't have any money.
But we told you where to get it from.
We did.
See, so you take that and you first establish that you have,
where to get the
it came from the waste.
Mm-hmm.
If you're wasting right now, look at your cell phone bill, okay? Mm-hmm. If you're paying $125, $130 a month for a data plan for one of these high-end phones and you're in debt,
cut back.
I would like to tell you need to get rid of your cell phone, but I'm not going to do that. Right. Okay, because that's harsh. People can't go that hard, okay? Yeah. And I don't want to say
cut back.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you cut back. You could get rid of it, but that takes us back to the old days again. We had
no more payphones.
We had one phone in our house. Now I'm going to have to tell a little story. I'm probably dating myself. We had one phone in our house. The phone was in the hallway.
Yeah.
I was raised by my grandmother, so I lived in a house with a lot of people. It was probably 8 of us that lived in a 3-bedroom house, but we had one phone in the house, in the hallway, and the phone was shared by us. But now this one's going to get you. But not only was it shared by us, most people won't even know what this is, but we had what they call a party line.
I remember party line.
Okay, so the whole neighborhood shared our phone. I can remember being on the phone and
I don't remember that.
Well, I do.
You're older than I am. No,
and Miss Susie May.
I remember that.
And Miss Susie May picked up the phone and said, I got to use the phone. You need to get off the phone.
She said, Mabel, I'm on the phone. You need to hang up.
So that's real. So look, I survived. I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a cell phone until I was a grown man. The first cell phone I had was like in a big bag.
Oh, you were cool.
Oh, I was something.
You probably had one of those people did.
Okay, I'm getting off on that. So let me go back to this. So you're going to take the phone bill, you're going to cut it. You're going to take your cable bill. If you got like the full, you're going to cut it. You're going to cut your eating out, your food bill, you're going to cut it.
Yeah.
Everything you cut, you figure out what the savings is, and you take that.
Don't spend that.
No, and then you save it. That's where it comes from.
Okay.
Okay, we get that established. And the very next thing we're going to is that same amount of money you've been saving now each month, you're going to take the smallest bill, which is the first thing we're going to do, and we're going to take that money and we're going to put that on that bill to start paying it down.
Okay, so I'm coming to you and I'm like, I'm in debt. What do I need to do? You're telling me I need to set aside $500, and if I have a 2 or 3 person, 4 person family, I probably need to set aside a little bit more. Right?
Yeah. If your family's bigger, you probably need to do more.
So I'm going to set aside $500, but then I'm going to make a list of all of my debts.
You absolutely are.
If I owe Pookie, if I owe
everybody,
Grandma,
if you owe your sister, your brother, the bank, whoever you owe,
mortgage, everything.
But make your list so that it's the smallest one first.
Okay.
So if you owe, let's say you owe Ray $300. Okay, you got to pay him his money. You owe him. Okay. So you put his money.
Right.
And you take that and you take that bill and you get rid of it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, now once that's done, you no longer have that bill sitting in front of you. That's wiped out. You can scratch one off the list.
Okay.
Then you go to the next one.
So now I have an extra $300.
You got whatever you were paying
payments to Ray.
Whatever you were giving him.
If I was paying him $10 a month, now I have that extra little $10 a month.
You got it.
Paying Ray.
Okay. But so if you take this, and the reason why I call it avalanche. You ever seen an avalanche? If you've watched a show on TV where they show where there's been an avalanche, you see how that thing starts at the top and it just piles all up down at the bottom?
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're doing. You're going to start and you're going to pile up and keep this money going, and you're just going to keep putting money on it until you pile it up on one bill and you eliminate it.
Okay, so now Ray Ray's paid off.
He's paid off. So then you go to the next thing. You go to the Visa card.
Okay, so now I have the money that I've saved from cutting back.
Correct.
Let's say it was $300.
You just call it 300.
And now I have the $10 a month that I was paying to Ray Ray.
So now you got $310.
$310.
Right.
So now I'm looking square in the face at this Visa bill.
And say that's $1,000. So it's going to take you a few months, but look at that.
But
now
look at
you're
that.
putting
The
how much?
$310.
So you're no longer paying $30 a month, which means you'd have never paid it off.
No, we're not doing the minimum thing anymore.
No.
Okay. Now we're really starting to pay this.
I can hear somebody asking a question though. I can pick it up in the spirit. This is what they're saying. Saying, well, what about all this time? Well, what about all the other bills? And what about all the people that's calling and they're threatening?
Well, you've been paying them anyway.
Well, trust what we tell you. They've been threatening you anyway. If they've been threatening you anyway, you waiting an additional 3 or 4 months to get around to them or to be able to put something on it, it's not going to change anything.
Right. Well, some people have been able to maintain.
Some people have.
Minimum payment on those.
Some people have.
Bills.
So
if you can maintain them, then certainly continue to do that.
You do that, but more importantly,
you're taking your waste and you're taking the money now that you've used to pay off that other bill, and you're going to keep on going down.
And more importantly, though, you're look at what you're doing. You're eliminating debt.
Right.
Okay, you not just keep putting a little bit here, a little bit there. The rule of 72, you're never going to get it paid off.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so you're doing a little bit, and it's never going to get you to where you want to go.
Right.
Now you're doing a lot. It may be one at a time, and it might take you a little longer to get to, say, the bigger debt. Okay, but you try to maintain the minimum payments on the others as best you can.
Yeah.
But as you start eliminating, it's going to grow.
Right. So now that Visa card, 3 months plus a little bit more, I'm going to have that paid off.
You could.
Whereas if I had, let's say, a 6% interest rate card, which we know most people
it's probably more like 18.
For sake of calculating in my head.
Right.
The rule of 72 says it would take me 12 years to pay that card off.
Well, correct. But
so now I'm going to wipe it out in 3 months.
You're going to wipe it out. Now, I'm not going to get through all these, okay, but I'm going to try to get through a couple more. But now this is the thing. So now as we're doing that, we did this, okay? So now as we're doing that and we're seeing it, you're seeing this thing, you get excited too. Because when we start paying stuff off, we were like, man, it just makes you want to dance.
Yeah. And we did.
So you get that done. Once you get that done and you get that started, you just repeat it until you get to the end.
Right.
Okay.
And then you have a big party.
And you have a major party. You are even allowed to have a party after you get done with this.
Right.
And that works all the way up to the car. Okay. There's 6 more steps. Okay. But we've really just able to cover the first because there's a lot of information here, like I said. But we know that if you're serious about getting out of debt, serious about changing your life, serious about being successful, serious about wanting to start that business, and you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired, then you got to be ready to do something.
Yes.
You know, and that's really what we've been talking about. We're talking about people being buried in a system that you are doomed to fail in.
Right.
Okay, and debt is a key piece, of the trap that keep us in a system that will keep us from.
Can you imagine living debt free?
Oh yeah, we can imagine.
No man, nothing but.
Absolutely, can imagine it, live it, love it, and it is so exciting to be able to do that. And then you know what? It may not mean that you're still where you want to be yet, but it sure is better to go there with no debt. It excites us to be able to help people, to see them be free. So we just want to say, keep tuning in each week. We love you. God bless you. We're going to be praying for you. And email us or text us or get in touch with us. God bless.
Bye-bye.